Hi and welcome today. The patient's journey, the path to purchase. I'm really excited that you will learn so much today from our special guest, and I will introduce Jill to you, part of our Beautiful Forever University educational series. The path to purchase is done on some very interesting research and very important for you as a med spa aesthetic owner under the cosmetic category. We have lots of great information to share with you today. You can't afford to miss it, so stay on. It's live. You can ask any questions. There is a white paper on the patient's journey and the path to purchase. If you would like the white paper, just email us or put in the comment box your email address. Or if you don't want anybody else to see it, you can just email Cheryl at Beautiful Forever. I will get it to Jill, and we will get you the white paper, which is absolutely worth reading, and you almost can't afford to miss it. There's a lot going on in the industry right now, and a lot of support is needed for everybody on every level, no matter whether you're a consultant, whether you're a general manager, whether you're a business owner, esthetician, nurse, provider. So everybody needs support, and that's why Beautiful Forever University hosts these free webinars. But supporting consumer credit plays a key role in the retail sales. So think about it. It's retail healthcare that you're in. It's not an insurance-based business. So what do providers need to know to support the healthcare specific credit cards? Not everybody wants to go write a check these days, whether somebody in their family is out of work or they're just nervous to spend money now. And you want to reap the benefits of closing the sale and increasing. You can upsell, you can cross-sell, you can sell a lot more if you offer patient financing options. So Beautiful Forever is happy to sponsor this week's educational interview focused on med spa practices. And I'd like to introduce, and I will go through her bio with you, Jill Frattallone. She is really interesting. She's a general manager. Her background is in cosmetics and retail for CareCredit. Prior roles, I'm not sure I knew you, Jill. We might have met, but you know, she was with GE Capital since 2003. And she does have a very strong passion for business and aesthetics, and provides solutions to patients and clients so they get the care that they need today. And I know that we work very closely together, and I do feel that from Jill and her team. And her purpose is to elevate and to inspire her team, her family, inspire you. Because there's so many things that are possible, and so many people are closed to understanding how to close a sale, or what the buying pattern is, or what the path to, because we're just so stressed out. So I think you need to listen very carefully today to Jill, look carefully at the slides, where again, we're happy to share the white paper with you if you get us all of your information, and the patient's journey path to purchase slides will be very valuable. So we're going to share some pearls with you, and welcome, Jill.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you are very welcome. I know you're usually behind the scenes, and and since there's no trade shows these days, I mean, nobody gets to see you at all. So
right? I know, no travel.
I know. In a way, it's nice because we can be home more, but in another way, it's like a whole new way of life that we have to adjust to.
It is. I'm missing airplanes right now, that's for sure.
Okay, well, they're out there. And you know, and I know that you have a huge team that you are working with all of the time, and I know you want to make every single one of your clients happy, and I know that firsthand. So let's talk about cosmetics procedures and the wants that drive this. Everybody has to want it first to be able to start the cycle. So tell us a little bit about the patients and the consult and the cycle as the way you see it from your white paper.
Absolutely. So just a little background on the study before I get a little deeper. So our Synchrony is the parent company for us, and we have a big research team that actually helps us with the study every 2 years. And we not only study the cosmetic industry, but we study every industry that CareCredit is in. And we really look at the patient's journey, not just financing, right? That is a big piece of it. But the entire journey and what a typical cosmetic patient goes through when making their decision. And you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, there are really 6 different steps that have a lot of different elements to each step. So obviously the first step is researching treatment options. There's a lot of different ways that patients do this, right? They consult with their friends, they research online, they go directly to the provider website, they could go to, you know, Instagram is actually what we're finding a huge source of information. So I encourage everybody to take a look at your online presence and make sure that it is really buttoned up. Because this is obviously the #1 place that people go for research when they're looking for cosmetic procedures. And researching providers. The third one is, you know, looking at additional treatments, looking at replacement treatments, right? If they're thinking about getting a tummy tuck, is there something else that they could consider? The fourth step in this process is researching the payment options, right? There are many different procedures out there, and it's not cheap. And consider finances. So that goes in with the researching payment options. Then you obviously have to look at your personal situation and your budget. And then obviously the last step is making the purchase. And this is what we found. Now, the interesting part is it's not a you know, perfect circle like this. People go from 1 to 3, back to 1, then they can maybe go to 4. So it's really a very interactive process that we're finding with some cosmetic procedures can take up to 170 days, wow, which is pretty amazing.
And when you say 170 days, we're talking what percentage of women?
Everybody that we have in our survey, that is the average that we're seeing is 170 days to make that decision from the time that they are considering it to the time that they're actually making that purchase. And when you get into the full procedure, cosmetic surgery, that even gets a little longer.
Right, I saw that in some of the papers, but you know, people go and they talk about a provider's reputation. They go on the website, they research them on social media. So tell us a little bit about your findings about, you know, word of mouth marketing, and you know, usually, like if you think about us, if we saw a friend who looked amazing and we know that we wanted that same neck lift that they had, yeah, we'd say, who'd you go to? But okay, we would believe them to a point, but then we're going to do our research, or we're going to talk to other family members or other people. So tell me what your findings were about that in your paper.
Yeah, so word of mouth and referrals is actually probably the most influential way for patients to get research and trust the research that they're getting. So any program that you have for your patients with any type of referral incentive is huge. You know, it brings in a lot of opportunity for you, and it's really the #1 way to gain credibility and get new patients. So, you know, obviously I think it goes without saying, right? But I'll say it, Cheryl. I mean, it's really, it's the best way to get clients without doing really a lot of extra work and a lot of, you know, it's really free marketing for you. As long as you make sure that you're keeping your patients satisfied and they're willing to market for you on your behalf.
And, you know, as consultants, we do find that we start with the internal marketing, which is what you're referencing. Start with the internal marketing, start with thank you notes, start by having VIP appreciation Zoom events. If you're not going to have a dinner out these days. But, you know, I think that appreciation is really very important to growing the business internally and organically without, like you said, spending a lot of money on marketing. But yes, how many practices actually do that, and how many of them actually track? That is an issue every day when we're on the phone with the practices, because there's not somebody in the practice that's identified as the person to go and follow up, or somebody comes in and doesn't come back in, you know, and they don't call. Well, they just lost them to maybe one of their competitors.
Yes, and Cheryl, I think you brought up a couple good points, and I think appreciation is huge, right? I love the thank you note. And I'll take it a step further and say personalization with a thank you note. Handwritten notes, who gets those anymore, right? And it goes so far. It goes so incredibly far. I mean, I love still getting like handwritten mail, which happens maybe twice a year now, because it's just so rare. And I think it's something so small and, it's not time consuming and it's fairly inexpensive. And I think it just means a world of difference for patients.
I agree. We even have a couple of doctors that we've recommended and they follow through with sending flowers to some of their VIP patients on their birthdays. Now, what woman, and it's 80 to 90% women in this industry, wouldn't love to get a bouquet of flowers? So
Absolutely.
it's simple. It could be $30, $50, but it is so worth it because that word of mouth, just that day, taking a picture, putting it on social media, letting people know, oh, my friend or this office or they sent me a gift. And we all love added value. We all love to get something, a gift, even as you said, just a simple thank you card or a thank you note. And there could be a gift card in there. There could be something in that handwritten note. And when I get them, I feel the same as you. We're not getting the mail that we used to get. We're getting too much email and we're missing some things on our emails. So, one of my suggestions with a client this week is let's start sending out some cards, and in the card we can have a gift card, whether it's an announcement, because now people are home, they're opening their mail. It's not like you're so busy, you're opening your mail in the garage and throwing it out, as you're standing there looking through it. I think people would appreciate that now more than ever. But decisions with providers are usually based on expertise, credentials. We find when we even call the offices and we do mystery shopping, the staff doesn't even mention or know the credentials of the doctor. I say, oh, is he double board certified? Oh, I don't know, I have to look it up. Okay. So they're training at the desk, not only for the credentials and knowing the practice, but also knowing that they offer patient financing options. So they're making it affordable to everybody. And that's
Yes.
such a simple line that we teach these offices. And there's a lot of revolving staff now, as we're all aware of what's going on with the economy. So there's some part-timers, there's some people who are let go. So I think retraining now is so important. I think retraining the providers to understand the benefits, and then also retraining the staff on making things affordable and exploring those patient options and payment options to the patient, even on the first call, because there are some tire kickers out there that are going to waste your time. But this will help them to maybe make a decision. Well, let me see, can I get pre-approved? And there is that pre-approval process. We don't have to go into it now. We could do that on another call. But, there's so much that you offer that people are not taking advantage of that would help them to put money in the bank in the next 24, 36 hours.
Absolutely. And, with patient financing, it's not just for the credit needy. There are a lot of financially savvy people out there that understand the benefit of using somebody else's money, right, without paying any interest. So, there's a big misconception out there about patient financing that it's only for those that truly need it, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We really see a wide variety of credit quality patients coming in, and I would say the distribution of the applicants is all across the board. It is definitely not, in the subprime category. And we've also, as part of this survey, we ask a very pointed question, right? About, would you have delayed or not had the procedure done at all if patient financing were not an option for you? And 30 to 40% of patients have said yes. I mean, that's pretty amazing that 30 to 40% of patients would have walked away from a procedure unless financing was offered. I mean, that's a really compelling number.
Yeah, and the truth is that a lot of people don't even know that there's financing options. I mean, they might know it at their dentist office, or they might know it at their veterinarian, if their dog is sick and needs surgery and they're freaked out that they have to lay out $10,000, but they're not as aware of it in the cosmetic arena. And that's why we're on today talking about it, to make the med spa and cosmetic more up to date on what is the sales cycle, what are patients thinking. And sometimes, like you say, it could be people with a lot of money, but their money's tied up, or they don't want their partner to know that they are spending an extra $5,000 or $10,000. I mean, you go for injectables and fillers these days, it could be $3,500. So it doesn't even have to be surgical. There are non-surgical alternatives that we both know at our ages and friends that are older, that it's almost like, you know, when you see gray hair, you need to go back and get your Botox and filler and laser treatments. So, you know, making that purchase, knowing that there's an option. I love the fact that not only you in medical spa and cosmetic, as you've always been, very strong, but now also, you know, you touch on the spa industry, which is great for those who just need a small amount of money, because not everybody has $300 versus what we're talking about, the $3,500 or $10,000. So I like that you've opened up and expanded across the board to be able to focus on every size patient and business. And, you know, the research actually shows that, you know, CareCredit is doing a great job. And now it's getting the word out and educating, especially now because everything is virtual, the virtual consults, everything is online. And so I think that they could do so much more closure online, information online, put links on their website that somebody could lead them to, and follow it up. I mean, to close the sales cycle.
Yeah, and you know, the everything virtual has been an interesting and very rapidly evolving space, right? And we, since practices started to open up, you know, mid-May, depending on the state that you're in, we've seen a pretty hefty increase in cosmetic procedures across the board. And we're hearing it from some of the partners that we work with that they're seeing a drastic increase too. And a lot of it has to do with virtual meetings, right? We're looking at ourselves all day long. We're like, oh my gosh, I should probably get my chin done. And we're seeing a big increase in procedures right now. And the other part of it too is that people have time to recover. They're not going anywhere, so they can recover at home. And again, like you had touched on, you know, hiding it from your spouses, but you're able to hide it, you know, from everybody, quite frankly. And it's been an interesting time and something that I guess I wasn't expecting in March when all this started. But it's definitely an interesting time for sure in the cosmetic space.
I don't think any of us expected more than
No.
a couple of weeks or a few weeks of wearing a mask, and now it could potentially be another year. I mean, it's really, it's a whole new world that we have to get used to.
Yes, there is a new term I heard from one of our field sales rep called maskne. So it's acne from your mask. I thought that was very clever.
What's happening with that is you're wearing the mask, so there's skin issues. And so some of the dermatologists we work with and some of the injectors, we're working with them on the different types of masks. I actually went on to Etsy and I bought some masks made out of bamboo. I'm trying everything myself just to see what's comfortable and what's not going to irritate my skin. And some people, unfortunately, have to wear their masks much longer than we might going in or out of a store. So, you know, there's challenges all around. And on
Absolutely.
the next slide, we talk about affordability challenges. And affordability is a challenge for minimally invasive procedures, for invasive procedures, for spa procedures, for skincare. I mean, affordability, I think, is across the board. And as we mentioned before, people are just scared now to spend money because nobody really knows what's going to happen with the stock market, what's going to happen with their job. Nobody really feels secure. So I think there's challenges out there, and what's the cost of money and what are the challenges? And this is part of your white paper, the four major categories of challenges. So maybe you want to talk about that just briefly.
Yeah, so these are quotes directly from people in the survey. And I'm sure many, if not all, on this webinar have heard these, pretty much all of them, right? Cost is a major barrier in this space, given it's an elective procedure. You know, everybody is seeing, you know, all of these celebrities on Instagram, and they want to have that look. They want to, you know, they don't want to have the eyes, they don't want to have the wrinkles. And we offer an opportunity to finance these procedures and make it available to literally everybody. And Cheryl, I want to touch on something you had mentioned before about that first phone call, right? It is so important that your staff answering the phone not only, again, knows your credentials and obviously the procedures and services that you offer, but the payment options. If you're a practice that does a quote over the phone to give an idea, and it's 3,000, somebody may say, oh, wow, like that wasn't expected, and they may be done. But if you said, oh, it's $3,000, but we have, you know, some great financing options to make it more affordable for you, fits into your budget better, you know, it makes that conversation go a lot further, and you might be able to get them in for a consultation.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll even tell them if, you know, if you have a link on your website and you have the time, go onto the website with the person that's on the phone, the potential patient, have them click on it, fill it out, help them if they need help. You could do that in the office as well, but if you want to do it virtually and everybody wants contactless, where they don't want to be touching papers, they don't want to be touching money. So I know that you offer a lot of options for that, and they could tell the patients that, you know, we'll do your intake forms, we'll do everything over the phone or on the internet. So when you come in, you can have more time directly with the provider, and the providers are spending more time with each patient. So they really do have time to promote other additional services while somebody's in there, and they can get pre-approved, as I mentioned before quickly, even the night before when they're looking over and they're, whether it's automatic text or they're communicating to confirm the appointment, they can know ahead of time, you know, what somebody's credit could be. And it really would help, I think, in time management. So you're not going to talk to them about a $25,000 facelift if their budget is $2,500.
Right.
So
Yeah, and we, to your point, we have the custom apply links that is linked directly to the practice. And what that does is it gives you the ability to see their available credit range. To your point, if you know, will show 9,000 to 10,000. It's an opportunity for you to offer other services when you know that they have that amount available. The other nice part of having that apply link on your page, not only all the benefits that Cheryl spoke of, but we have a report out there that you're able to pull. It's called, I think we have 5 different names for it, but it's really your customer list. So any patient that applied through your link or at your practice, you have their information with, again, that credit range. So you can market to them, get them in for events, and you'll know exactly the types of procedures that you can really market to them based on their available credit. But it's a revolving card. So the repeat opportunity is huge in this space, in the loyalty play.
And I think that's something that most people are not even aware of and are not using it to their benefit. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's actually something I'll even, you know, talk to you about again and learn more, because it's something that we could teach our practices and med spas. And I think that's a very good point, going back to that internal marketing, not costing a lot of money to spend on marketing right now. That's fine. You could do it on a very low budget. And so this is one of the things that we can add to that list. Again, you have to have somebody who's following up and somebody who is looking at those names and putting them in groups, and whatever EMR system you're using, being able to blast out to them or send individual emails depending on how small or how large your practice is.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I think that's really important. But, you know, helping to make it easier to say yes is, I think, as a consultant and wanting success, as a general manager, you know, on your end, that's what we want to hear. We want happy patients, we want happy clients, and we want to help them and make it easier for them to say yes. And all of this is understanding the patient's decision, understanding the cycle, and really getting it. Because I think a lot of providers are normally so busy, they don't have time to sit and look at some of these things. They might have spoken to one of your reps 6 months ago, 6 years ago. And maybe they need to make a phone call. Maybe they change practices. They were in a group and now they're individual, which I know has happened along the way. Or there's a lot of new startups, interesting enough, in this time that are opening up. And I've been talking to them about offering options to make the journey easier for the patients to say yes and to close some consults. And you need to spend the time doing the consults and explaining, because a lot of times there's 5 minutes. You really have to book out like a good 15 minutes. I know doctors that do an hour and a half. I think that's way too long. And they're overselling or have too much time that's free. But I think you need to, have somebody in the practice, like plastic surgeons. They have patient coordinators. They'll spend time with the patient before and after and follow up. Well, there's a lot of practices that don't have that, I guess, luxury to have but a lot of physicians have a very hard time, or providers, they find a gray line in talking about money and closing about money. So they might be able to say, oh, you need this, this, and this, but they don't go to the next step to close. So the person who's doing the closing also is the person that needs an education to make things affordable and be able to feel comfortable. Because we've done lots of mystery shopping where that person who is the patient coordinator or consultant in the office didn't feel comfortable asking for money, or didn't feel comfortable saying, well, if you can't afford it, or we make it affordable. And so there was a problem because the doctor was doing amazing with the consult. The person was ready to sign up, but yet you need to have follow-up staff that also backs you up and is able to close your services.
Yeah, all very good points. And I think with regards to the selling process, I encourage everybody on this webinar to really look at all of those steps in the sales process and kind of do an inventory of where you are, making sure that you have tools out there and marketing in place to really help check the box for all of those different steps, because it's all different times that you can touch existing patients or prospective patients, right? And, I really encourage you to take a step back, go through that list and make sure that you've got it all covered, so you are in a better position going forward in order to close more of these sales and get more patients for you.
Yes, and one of the questions that we get often, and somebody even asked it some way today, with these virtual consults, how do you close the sales cycle? How do you sell patient financing? It's, to me, the same as if you were sitting in front of the person. If you need to use Zoom and you don't have it, there is free Zoom. If you're talking medicine, then you need to have a HIPAA compliant program. But if you're just talking to a patient in general, doing a skincare analysis, you can use Zoom or any FaceTime that you would be doing as if somebody's sitting in the office. So people have to get used to, and maybe they need to role play and practice with the other staff members. We role play with our clients when we do our trainings, because you really have to learn how to do what we're doing now, being able to talk and educate the same way as if you're doing a consult and somebody's sitting in the office across the desk from you. And it's not for everybody, but it does take some practice.
It does take practice. And the thing I'll say with that, and as you alluded to, there are people that are uncomfortable talking about money, and we have to get past that for sure. Being virtual does give you an opportunity and your staff to refer them to your website to talk about financing. We have all sorts of digital assets that you can obtain through CareCredit that has all the legal language and all the placement, and you can literally dedicate a page to financing. And as long as your staff knows enough about financing to talk high level, but then they can refer them to the website, and it will have all the information, as well as that custom apply link that will go directly to your practice. So you will remove a bit of that hurdle right up front.
And how easy is it for a practice to be able to sign up with you and get information on the website? I guess easy, but also the time frame, because people are always worried, oh, it's going to take me weeks or months, and I know that that's not true.
Yeah, so it's about a week to get through the whole process. So there is a short agreement that we sign, and then there is some certification, because we are a bank. So there is a little bit of training that has to be done by at least one person in your practice. I would recommend that a couple more go through it. It actually is good training, so you know what to say and what not to say when it comes to financing. And then you can be up and running. Everything can be done online. It's a very simple, very self-explanatory process.
Which is great. So they can even pay online if they have a card or they're a card holder already. And that's that contactless portion that people are looking for today.
Yes, there is that option, absolutely.
So there's no reason not to do it. The only obstacle we find is, a lot of providers look at, well, a percentage has to go to the bank. Well, somebody has to pay for it, right? So whether you put it on the patient, whether you, I know that you have lots of options. So it's something that has to be discussed with their rep so they could feel comfortable with, and I know you have specials right now too, and all kind of programs that people are not even aware of that are out there. So they can call their rep or reach out by email, and they could learn what is new, what's interesting now in COVID times. I know that you have many different options that they're not aware of where they could save money or make more money in a shorter period of time. And I think that's an education to the actual provider or office manager that needs to be done. And I think probably, a webinar just to the office managers, because if they know about it and they could train the staff, or they need help training the staff, it's something we could do.
Absolutely. We have a lot of resources available for any type of training, and we're more than happy to accommodate where necessary. And I would encourage everyone to look at financing as not an expense. Look at it as a sales or a marketing tool, right? It really is a sales tool. It can help close sales. It can bring in new business, and it can keep your loyal patients coming back. So I really encourage you to not look at it as a cost.
I think that's a great way to look at it, because a lot of people will just look at, oh, there's a percentage. Well, if you go and put ads in the newspaper or spend $5,000 a month for Google AdWords, it's costing you per patient.
Or Groupon, right? I understand Groupon is fairly expensive, and we've had a lot of success stories where practices actually remove Groupon and add financing and have a much better success for a cheaper amount.
Yeah, and the truth is Groupon is not the right answer for everybody. And there's a lot of problems with the tire kickers who are not really wanting to go back to the practice and become a loyal patient. They're just looking for, the money off today, and then they're off to the next coupon that's out there. So I'm not even sure those are patients that they really want unless they're really desperate. But you also have to put a limit on that, because I have clients that have put Groupons out there, and they had to have somebody answering the phone 24 hours a day for these tire kickers. And at the end of the day, there were very few that were able to handle it right and make money from it. Most of them lose money because 50% is going back to the company. You're getting 50%, you have overhead, you have staff. So you're not really, it's not a win-win. As you're saying, it's much better for loyalty purposes to offer something to make your patients happy and have them keep coming back in and create like an annual blueprint where they're in whether it's every month if you have estheticians, or the injectables and fillers are in every 3 or 4 months, to put them on some sort of plan. And they could be paid off by the 3 or 4 months to be able to then afford to use their card again.
Yes, absolutely. Very good points.
So is there anything that we forgot today?
I think we covered most of it. I want to reiterate that if you're interested in the white paper, please let Cheryl know. There's a lot more information in there. And then again, encourage you to really look at these different steps and make sure that you have tools in place to accommodate each one.
And I thank you so much, Jill, for being here today. I know usually this is not your norm, but I appreciate it very much. It was great getting to see your nice smile and get to talk to you. And I even learned some things about CareCredit today, which is great. And I'm sure that whoever's listening will learn, and I will definitely pass the word on, and understanding what they're getting and how they can make more money is the bottom line for everybody. So we need to get that message out, and we started today. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I really appreciate it.
You are very welcome.